Namovaha, Sadavaha, Swagatam, Sadavaha. Welcome, all you good and beautiful people, and may your path be filled with blessings. Well, good morning, all. We're about 10 minutes from the official sunrise time, and I'm sitting in the historic Rose Garden at beautiful Ritter Park in Huntington, West Virginia. My name is Bill. I'm with Cosmic Water Yoga, and this is the first in a series of 10 videos on getting ourselves into a yoga ritual in the morning. And I'm enjoying it outside in the summer. It's just so beautiful out here in the morning to be up as the sun rises and practicing yoga. That is our tradition. So I'm going to spend a few minutes right now just talking about what are we doing here? Why are we practicing yoga? Why are we practicing yoga this way rather than some other way? What is all this about? So this would be called Darśana, or the view, in the tradition of yoga. If you don't know where you're heading, if you don't know what the view is, where you want to go, doesn't matter where you start, you're not going to get there if you're not facing in the right direction. So this is an acclimation. This is a way for us to get aligned with the practice of yoga. So, Atha Yoganu Shasana. Atha Yoganu Shasana. Atha means now. This is the very first sutra in Patanjali Yoga Sastra, about an almost 2,000-year-old document. It's pretty much considered kind of the Bible of yoga in the modern world. It has a lot of really useful aspects in it. So now, Atta, the very first word is now, and that really wraps up the whole thing. It is now. It's the process of yoga, the state of yoga is being perpetually in the now, being in touch with this true self and living in that state of oneness, of alignment, of unity. Okay, so what is this thing called yoga? Now we begin the practice of yoga. Well, the second sutra tells us what yoga is. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. And these vrittis, right, they're thoughts or impressions, right? They're just any kind of disturbance, emotions that it can be tagged with kleshas, it can be tagged with some kind of trigger point for us, right? Something that sets us off over time. And the object then of yoga is to try to become non-reactive to those thoughts and those emotions as they arise in us. Right? The tradition tells us those are just stories. Those are just constructs that we've created within our consciousness, because that's all there is consciousness. So yoga then is, we're never going to be able to stop those. This is kind of a misconception. We're supposed to go into some kind of a trance state in yoga or something, some kind of transcendent state, right, where we're beyond everything. And there is a state in there that's like that, and it's easy to come by. Patanjali spends most of his time speaking about this state of Somatic, this comatose state. But it's not really a blank mind, it's a non-reactive mind. So the thoughts can come and go, the emotions can come and go, all of these vrittis can come and go. But if we don't become reactive to them, then we can start to recognize who we truly are, our swarupe, which is the next one. So yoga is about finding stillness. It's about finding stillness. It's about finding that place that's non-moving while the whole world turns around us. Okay, so the still spot doesn't necessarily mean we have to sit still. It's usually taken that way. It can also mean we can allow ourselves to come into a state of flow where our body's moving through space or doing whatever, or doing some kind of visualization or doing something else. And we are so present, we are so here in the now that time no longer exists. Right? We're beyond time. Kalatara. No longer are bounded by that time when we live with our true self. We're so engaged. So the practices of meditation from the tradition that I choose, that seems to align most with my spiritual state, my physical state, my psychological state, is tantric yoga, and tantric yoga from Kashmir about 1,000 years ago. This was a time of great philosophy, great writings, great poetry in the yoga tradition. And it's also a time where the technology of meditation was advanced to this flow state. So rather than trying to reach this transcendent state, in Tantra it's a recognition that there's a state beyond that. There's a state of flow. So that's what we're trying to do in a class like this, is to make it into a moving meditation where our movement is very, very slow. It's done with intent. This is the important point. All of our movement in this class, everything we do will be done with intention, with our will to do that. It's very, very important. And then we need to pay close attention to what is happening. We want to bring our conscious awareness to the movements of our body, how our body's interacting. And I'm going to ask you to stack movements. The breath is a movement. Saying things underneath your breath is a movement. The actual movement of the body parts is a movement. All of this has to be synchronized and choreographed, and we have to keep it all in the air, all going at the same time. When we drop it, we have to start the meditation over. So we're not thinking about nothing. We're thinking about a lot of things, stacking these up. So we have to have the intention, and then we have to bring our attention to that intention. Full conscious and subconscious mind on the movement. Okay. And then as we're doing the movement, we move into stillness. So even though our body may be moving through space, our mind is not reacting to any of the circumstances, either internal or external. This is a very, very important part of the yoga process, is that discipline. Discipline that we learn over the layers of our being. In the yoga tradition, there's layers. There's this kind of stuff around us, and then there's our body, the deha. So we spend a lot of time in the modern postural world on the deha, but there's more to it than that. There's a layer beneath that, which is our layer of the psychology. This is the layer of our emotions. This is the layer of the chitta mind, the heart mind. In the Indian tradition, there's not two different kind of things going on here. There's not emotions and cognitive thought. They're all the same. They're all one process, chitta. And this is, it seems pretty obvious to me that our emotions definitely affect the way we think, and the way we think affects our emotions. Why we're trying to put a separation between them. So we spend a lot of time in the modern yoga world, well in this class, on finding discipline in the body and in that heart mind. Okay? In that heart mind, both the cognitive thoughts and the emotional thoughts. And then below that is what we call the prana body, or the subtle body. This is the way the energy flows through our body. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about energy. I'm actually very qualified to speak about it. I have a PhD in molecular physics. All I do is think about it. This is a type of energy in our body. It's the way our patterns flow and form, how we react from those patterns. This is the prana body. This is really the point of the physical aspect and the meditative aspect of yoga, is to build up the strength in this subtle body, emotional strength, so that as things change around us, we don't have to react to them, like a strong, subtle body or energy body. So we do a lot of practices during this 10 weeks that will come out of an 8th century text called the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. And this is a practice book. It's got 112 different practices, and most of these are meditative practices. And we're going to draw a lot of our practices from this. That text is currently being looked at in a Facebook group by a Sanskrit scholar by the name of Christopher Wallace, also goes by the name of Harish. So this information is readily available. His translations are, I'm really starting to enjoy his translations more and more on some of the classical texts as well as the Tantra texts. So this practice will be about learning how to stay within ourselves. And the movement we're going to do, now this gets into science now, is we have different layers of our brain according to modern science, right? So we've got this lizard brain is what I like to call it. That's the brain that keeps us alive. And that's the brain that is really all we need. If we weren't doing higher level thought like writing poetry and literature and science and all that kind of stuff, all we would need is that lizard brain. We wouldn't need this self-awareness, this self-consciousness, and it would keep us alive. We'd be like a meek robot, right? We'd be programmed to do things, all about survival, all about evolution, and we would be fine with that. That's the lizard brain. That's the brain that knows how to move our body seamlessly without thinking about it. This is the brain that gets trained from infancy to toddlerhood, actually all the way through that developmental that keeps us in line. We don't have to think about that stuff cognitively. In fact, this big old neocortex that we have up here that makes us human, that makes us have the ability to cogitate, right? to think about things, to reflect, to create. That is really worthless when it comes to this lower level stuff. The lower level stuff is a massively parallel computer that can do all these calculations at the same time. The cortex is pretty much a linear computer. It just does one calculation at a time. It scans. It thinks about one thing at a time. It doesn't have enough of the right type of power to learn. So in somatic type movement, which we're doing here, we bring our full conscious awareness to whatever movement we're making. We keep it on our breath. We keep it on the sounds of the breath and on the movement and whatever other tasks I may assign. Just do as many of these as feels right to you. Getting a little bit of rain right now. And that's all there is to this. Keep your mind on it. Don't worry about it. Make the movement slow and easy. Whenever I give you a direction on a movement, I expect you to think about how to organize your body to make the movement before you do it. So if I'm asking you to move your arm out like that, I don't expect you just to go like that. I expect you to think about, organize what has to get involved to move that arm. And then do it as slowly as you possibly can in both directions with all your awareness. And notice how there's a local sensation and global sensation. We're looking for the connections, the integration of our physical body with our emotional thinking body, the chitta body, as well as the subtle body. So I think that's all I will give you for now. Let's continue on with the practice. So once again, Swagatam. Welcome all my friends to this beautiful, beautiful practice.